Welcome dreamers. Ready to relax and unwind? Get comfy and let our soft night tales take you to magical places. Enjoy.
Have you ever heard of a tree that only blooms when the moon is full? What if that tree held the secret to a magical world that no one had seen for centuries? Tonight, let me tell you the story of a girl named Elysia who discovered such a tree and unlocked something far greater than she ever imagined. In a quiet, hidden valley far from any roads, there's a grove that only reveals itself to those who are truly ready to see it. This grove, bathed in soft moonlight, is home to a tree like no other, an ancient silver-leaved tree that only blooms when the moon is full. But when the tree begins to fade, so does the magic that surrounds the valley. Elysia, a curious and kind-hearted girl, is about to embark on a journey to uncover the mysteries of this strange place and its extraordinary tree. Elysia had always been drawn to the Moonlit Grove, a mystical place just on the outskirts of her village. She would sneak away from her chores and walk the narrow, winding path that led to the grove, where the air was cool and sweet with the scent of night-blooming flowers. It was here that she felt most at peace. Elysia had soft, wavy hair that was the color of warm honey, which she always wore tied back in a loose braid that hung over her shoulder. Her eyes were a rich green, like the moss that grew at the base of the ancient trees, and her skin had a sun-kissed glow from her time spent outdoors. She usually wore simple clothes, loose tunics and leggings, comfortable for wandering the valley in search of adventure. For as long as she could remember, there had been a legend about the Moonlit Grove. They said the tree at the center of the grove, the silver-bloomed tree, had magical properties, but it only bloomed once every full moon. Its blossoms were said to shine like stars, and the tree itself glowed with a soft silver light that illuminated the entire grove. No one knew exactly why or how the tree's magic worked, but it had kept the valley peaceful for centuries. But lately, something had been wrong. The tree hadn't bloomed in months, and with it, the magic of the grove seemed to be fading. The once lush greenery was turning dull, and the air felt heavy with an unspoken sadness. Elysia noticed it during her last visit. The silver-bloomed tree had lost its glow, and the flowers that should have been shimmering with moonlight were nowhere to be found. "What's happening to you?" she whispered to the tree, her heart heavy with concern. The villagers spoke of the tree's fading glow in hushed voices, too afraid to ask too many questions. They all believed that if the tree stopped blooming, the valley would fall into darkness, and the peace they had known for so long would be lost. Elysia couldn't let that happen. She knew she had to find out what was causing the tree to wither and restore its glow before it was too late. Determined to solve the mystery, Elysia set off one evening just before the full moon rose into the sky. She made her way to the grove, her heart racing with anticipation. The path was quiet, bathed in the soft light of the setting sun, and she could feel a sense of urgency building inside her. As she approached the grove, the air seemed to grow cooler, and a soft mist began to rise from the ground. The silver-bloomed tree, once the heart of the grove, stood before her, its once silver leaves now dull and lifeless, hanging like wilted paper. The branches, which should have been strong and vibrant, drooped sadly to the ground. "I'm not giving up on you," Elysia murmured to herself as she approached the tree, her footsteps barely making a sound on the soft earth. She reached out and touched the rough bark, feeling a faint pulse beneath her fingertips, a heartbeat, weak but steady. "Please," Elysia whispered. "What can I do?" Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the underbrush, and out stepped a small figure, an elf-like creature, no taller than Elysia's waist, with glowing lavender skin and silvery hair that shimmered even in the dim light. The creature had delicate wings like those of a moth, and it wore a tunic woven from moonlight itself. "I knew you'd come," the creature said in a soft, melodic voice. Elysia blinked in surprise. "Who are you?" "I'm Thalas," the creature said, bowing gracefully. "I am one of the guardians of the silver-bloomed tree." Elysia's eyes widened. "A guardian? You mean, the tree isn't just a tree?" Thalas nodded solemnly. "No. The silver-bloomed tree is more than that. It is the heart of this valley, and it connects the lands to the magic of the moon itself. When the tree fades, so does the magic that keeps this valley safe." Elysia took a step closer, her eyes never leaving the tree. But why is it fading? What happened? Dallas looked toward the tree with a sorrowful expression. The magic is being blocked. Something is disrupting the flow of energy from the moon. The silverbloom tree draws its power from the moon's light, but without the right balance, it cannot bloom. And when the tree fails, the valley begins to lose its protection. Elysia's heart sank. But how do we fix it? Dallas stepped forward, his wings fluttering. There is a way, but it will require you to face the source of the disruption, the darkened hollow, a place hidden deep within the grove. It is there that the shadow has taken root. Elysia's eyes narrowed in determination. I'll go. I won't let the valley fall into darkness. Dallas nodded approvingly. Be careful, Elysia. The hollow is a dangerous place. But if anyone can restore the balance, it is you. With Dallas by her side, Elysia ventured deeper into the grove, following a winding path lined with twisted trees and thorn-covered vines. The air grew thicker, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer, as though the very ground was trying to swallow them whole. They soon reached the edge of the darkened hollow, a place where the trees were twisted and bare, and the sky above was hidden behind thick, swirling clouds. This is it, Dallas said softly. The source of the disruption. Elysia's heart beat faster as they stepped into the hollow. The air felt colder, and a low hum of energy seemed to vibrate through the ground. In the center of the hollow, a dark, swirling vortex hovered above the ground, its edges glowing with a sickly purple light. That's it, Elysia said, pointing toward the vortex. That's what's causing all of this. Dallas nodded gravely. You must face it, Elysia. The magic of the valley depends on it. Elysia swallowed her fear and stepped forward, feeling a strange pull toward the vortex. It seemed to whisper her name, beckoning her closer. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small crystal that had been passed down through her family for generations, the crystal of Lumina. It was said to hold the power to restore balance to any magical disturbance. As she raised the crystal toward the vortex, the darkness seemed to recoil. The air crackled with energy, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then, with a burst of light, the crystal began to glow brightly, filling the hollow with a soft, warm light. The vortex writhed and hissed, but Elysia held her ground, focusing all her energy on the crystal. Slowly, the darkness began to dissipate, like smoke clearing in the wind. The night air hung still, like a soft, quiet breath held by the earth itself. The moon now hung high in the sky, casting its cool, silvery light over the valley, which had settled into a peaceful quiet that felt almost timeless. Elysia stood at the edge of the grove, her hands gently resting at her sides, her gaze fixed on the silverbloom tree. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, the grove had been under the threat of dark forces. Now, the air around her felt light and full of promise, a stark contrast to the heaviness it once carried. She looked down at the ground, her thoughts swirling as she took in the vastness of the valley stretching out before her. She could still feel the warm glow of the silverbloom's energy coursing through her veins, a constant reminder of how much the forest had changed, how much she had changed. In that moment, standing on the cusp of the grove and the valley beyond, Elysia understood something she hadn't before. The world around her, the one she had always seen from the edges, wasn't just a place to be explored or admired, it was a place to be protected, to be nurtured. There was a deep and intricate connection between all things, and she had seen that connection with her own eyes. The forest, the animals, the trees, all had their part to play in the grand rhythm of nature, and she, too, had a part to play. The lesson she had learned was clear: harmony could not be taken for granted. It had to be cared for, restored and honored. Turning her gaze back to the silverbloom tree, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The tree's once faint glow had brightened to a radiant silver, its leaves shimmering like precious jewels in the moonlight. The darkness that had tried to encroach upon it had been driven back, not with force, but with understanding, care, and the unyielding strength of one girl's determination. As she stood there, letting the cool breeze tousle her hair, Elysia realized that the forest itself seemed to sigh in relief, a great weight lifting from its roots. She could hear the distant sound of birds returning to their nests, the rustling of the trees as the wind passed through, the gentle hum of life resuming its natural rhythm. It was as if the land was breathing again, deep, slow, and steady. Elysia smiled softly to herself. It wasn't about the triumph, the victory over darkness, or the monsters she had faced, it was about the journey. It was about how she had learned to listen, to trust the quiet whispers of the world around her. She discovered that sometimes the hardest battles are not fought with weapons or magic, but with patience, understanding, and a willingness to change. She had found courage in unexpected places, within herself and in the world that surrounded her. The strange and wondrous creatures she had met, the whispers of the forest, even the way the moonlight seemed to shine just a little brighter when she needed it most, it all made sense now. Everything was connected. The glowing light of the silverbloom tree cast long shadows on the ground, its branches reaching toward the stars as if to say, "You did it." The leaves of the tree shimmered like silver flames, and Elysia felt the warmth spread through her chest. She had been part of something much larger than herself, something ancient and beautiful, and it had been a privilege to help protect it. As she walked away, her footsteps soft on the earth, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace settle within her. The valley stretched out ahead, a vast, quiet expanse filled with untold beauty. The night, once dark and uncertain, now felt full of possibilities, all ready to be explored. The moonlit path that lay before her was no longer just a road into the unknown. It was a road of endless discovery, and she was ready to walk it, with an open heart and a steady spirit. And though her journey had come to an end, in that moment, Elysia knew she would always be a part of this world. The forest had changed, yes, but so had she. The lessons learned from the trees, the creatures, and the silver bloom would remain with her forever, guiding her through every step of life, no matter where the path took her. As she walked farther into the valley, the distant silhouette of the silverbloom tree faded behind her, its glow still faintly visible in the distance. The animals returned to their homes, the trees stood tall and strong, and the moon continued its quiet watch over the land. Everything was as it should be. The peaceful hum of the night enveloped Elysia, as the weight of the adventure finally slipped from her shoulders, leaving only the quiet joy of knowing she had made a difference. She had saved the grove, yes, but she had also saved herself. And that, she realized, was the greatest triumph of all. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful journeys and bedtime tales. Thank you for being part of our community.